So are you going back to Nigeria?
Yes, I miss my country. I want to go back home. I want to see my family. Because now I appreciate them more. I appreciate them better than I used to. Being here, being away from home, I now see, I've realized the real essence of family life and just being with your family. Back home when I was in Nigeria, although I'd lived away from my family when I was in Nigeria, I'd lived in another state. But then, I still call them often. I still get to see my sister who lived in the same city as me. But yeah, I'm totally alone, like alone. It reminds me of when I started school many years back, kindergarten. I remember vividly the time I was, my sister, wasn't my sister, my parents took me to school to a class. And when they dropped me there, they left and I started crying because I was afraid I'd just be alone. So I could, think back and remember, although I was young, but I can still remember that scenario. And yet I cried, seriously. I really, really cried that day. So that feeling came back, flashed back, and I was like, I'm afraid. I missed my family.
When I was in uni, my main coping strategy was just sitting in the library, doing coursework, just trying to focus on academics basically then. And then, even though we're not talking about faith, church it always has to come in because it was like a major part of my life then too. And it stays, so it was another coping strategy. Like at least in a week, I was in church like almost 4 times, doing something like main church activity like 4 times out of 7 days. So it was also another coping strategy. Yeah. So church and library then.
Thank God for my faith. It makes me feel sane, and I've been able to make lots of friends. In fact, most of my friends are old folks, and this is because of the fact that I go to church often, and I'm also part of the choir.
The pressure from home. Coming from Nigeria, it's a different expectation entirely, a different ball game. You have your parents counting on you, your friends counting on you. You're coming here, they've spent a lot of money, a lot of resources just to get you here. It's not small money, if I should mention, you all know. So you you come with the expectations that, okay, you're coming here to do very well. So that pressures you a bit. Kind of, okay, I'm coming here to study very hard, do my best, probably come out with a distinction, give it my best shot in life and everything. And then, second pressure was that, okay, it's a very competitive life here. You have to be on your feet. I know the working system. I know the way you have to be, the bills and everything included. I can't live here and then expect stipends and everything from my parents all the time. So I knew what I was getting myself into, and I was not about to let it all on my parents.
Your parents are your back. Nigerian parents, you 70%, you go ask you, did somebody get 80? Say yes. The person that got 80, they have 2 heads. Like there's always that pressure, so you always want to please your parents. But as you grow older and you like mature, you start doing things for yourself, then you realize that whatever I'm doing is for me, and how I'm going to work towards it is for me. It's for my own achievement. So because I've realized that now, I'm not really bothered about stuff, because I know that the amount of work I put in on, or how I work on something, is based on my own like judgment, my own time, my own pressure on myself. So that's why I don't really bother. But when I was in my undergraduate, I was a very serious student. If I tell you that I did not miss 1 day of lecture, you not believe it.
In terms of back to the mindset I came to university with, I then came with the understanding that it's not so much what I'm doing, but then who I meet. So I did kind of make an effort to meet different people, and in that sense, I would say I definitely have gotten what I hoped to get out of university, because aside from meeting more Nigerians, I met a lot more Africans. I met a lot more people from Europe, England itself as well, and Asians that I would have definitely not met otherwise.
It's like in UK, nobody has time for anybody. Somebody can tell you, oh, when you need me, just call me. But bro, that's not the reality, bro. You call them and they're like, oh no man, and I get shift, oh. So everybody's always busy, so I had to get used to, really being on. I thought I was really on my own in Nigeria. Like I thought I could, like I was like a one-man mopo back then, but no. Right, in UK, you just have to get used to being on your own, like not really expecting help from people per se. You just have to survive when it's you and God in this country mostly.
So when you are not in Nigeria, I don't think it's possible to perfectly replicate the feelings and experiences that you would have if you were in Nigeria. I think you can find things that are close to it, like being around Nigerian people, going through life experiences with Nigerian people. That gives you a feeling of being in Nigeria, experiencing Nigerian culture. So having Nigerian food, listening to Nigerian music, watching Nigerian films, having discussions with Nigerian people on current affairs, Nigerian current affairs. Those things have the potential to give one a feeling of home away from home. But the added element of actually being at home, I think, will always be in question, because you obviously will not be at home.
If you don't have someone to talk to, you kind of just become bitter every second of the day. You just feel something is not there, something is not, how you feel it should be. You're just on your own, you rarely talk to people, and you rely on phone calls all the time. But somehow you just want to have this close interaction, seeing the person live and not just via phone.
Compared to when you first arrived in the UK, would you say that you're currently at a point where you feel like you've found belonging in the UK?
Well, I would say now I to an extent, like I know my way around to an extent. So, but when you say belonging, and what's like, I say like belonging to the community or like the host, like the British culture. Or...
Well, just being in a position where you don't feel like a foreigner.
Yeah, you don't feel alienated again. Can you ever? That's the question. Can you ever feel like I don't? It's quite tricky.
One of my best friends from secondary school, he passed away, and it was one of the roughest periods of my life. Like I was just trying to get over that, and we hadn't talked in a while, and I wanted to just check on him, and I found out he had passed, and it was heavy on me. Like my spirit was even further down. So it was, I guess the old phrase when they say time heals all. I just gave myself time. I was patient with myself. I didn't try and like bottle it. I just I said, okay, this is what happened. There's a lot of pain. I talked it out, did things I enjoyed. Not because
just try and get my mind off things. I did more exercise. I walked around a bit more. I tried not to isolate myself too much. Maybe talk to people about it, but at least try and stay in constant communication. Like not distract myself, but to keep myself occupied so my mind wouldn't dwell on it. So over time, like while I'm still sad about it when I think about it, it's not like a constant cloud over my head anymore. Like I'm okay now. I'm good actually. I'll say I'm good.
Sincerely, if I'd not met the Association of Nigerians in Coventry, I don't know how I would feel. Sincerely, I don't know, because I remember when I went for a birthday party, I was able to dance, listen to loud music. That is, me. I know Nigeria. Anywhere you go, you always hear music, and you see, you cannot change who you are, especially when you're used to something while growing up. Loud noise, cars moving around in front of your house and stuff like that. And then you come suddenly to a place where it's all just serene and silent and all. You feel like, oh my God, I'm afraid, I can't stay here, I can't live here. But when you're able to make friends that make you feel that, sense of being at home, it keeps you sane, it keeps you, like the person that you're meant to be, sort of.
Even after you get a sense of belonging in your new environment, you could still have flashbacks or visions or memories of your home that trigger a feeling of alienation or nostalgia, which I think could make you miss home and make you feel like you don't really belong in your new environment. So I think it's something that must be managed.
Coming from Nigeria, where, to be all honest, there is no like a working system, like unlike UK. So if you're able to survive in that kind of country, I'm coming to a country where there is like an organized system. It has its advantage, has its disadvantage, because then you see the system as too rigid, and then you can't really have your way like you have in Nigeria. But on the flip side, when it comes to like hustling, when some of the when you interact with like UK brought up kids or UK brought up guys, the way they see hustling is different from the way we see hustling. So we always like, so on the aspect of hustling, working and everything, like trying to really push for something better, Nigeria has really it's had a positive impact, because then you know where you're coming from, and like, so you are more focused. Even if you lose your focus sometimes, it's easy for you to get back on track.
I remember when a friend of mine came recently for a program, and I took her to accommodation, and she was like, oh my God, Victoria, I'm not going to stay here alone. You'll come and live with me, right? I can imagine, because that was how I felt when I moved into my accommodation newly. So it takes a while for you to settle in, for you to overcome that culture shock, or is that what it's called, when you're away from home and you come to a new place and you just want to. It takes time to adapt. So it took me a while to adapt, to be sincere.
My mindset and the way I like doing things is one step at a time. Like, we may have so many plans, at the end of the day, when those plans don't, come through, you become disappointed. So I didn't have too many big plans was just taking it bit by bit. And I think I was being able to be calm in the way you deal with things just helps you, go through things. So when you come in and you're too, I know Nigerians and some of us can be too hyper. I've seen, you see people coming here in just 2 weeks, they're already like, they've never gotten their national insurance number. They're already talking about how they want to hustle. It's like, guy, calm down. So, yeah, being calm and, taking everything one step at a time, I think that's what has helped me, really.
I've seen so many people who have planned their life out in this one way and thought that they were going to do this one thing, and things ended up completely different, but things always work out. Even if it may not have been the way you expected or the way you planned. So I know that even though I have this plan, even if things don't go that way in particular, things will still be fine for me. And also, even just because of my faith, I know that I just know things will be fine. I don't have any sort of fear or anything like that, because at the end of the day, if you know who is planning your life, has seen the end from the beginning, then what is there to be fearful about?
I feel homesick. I miss the warm weather of Nigeria. I miss being around my parents. Well, we're actually pretty close. I miss my sister, believe it or not. I miss my friends back home in Nigeria. Just the lived experience of being there. It's rough, but it's home to me still. But I would say in the UK, I don't feel alienated. I would still say I like some of the comfort and like how smooth some things work, and just some parts of the UK. And I have a lot of family and friends, so I'm very comfortable. I can manage and fend for myself. But at the same time, I do miss a lot of things about being in Nigeria and being back home. So I would say I'm comfortable in the UK. I won't say it feels quite like home. It's comfortable. It feels like a good alternative spot to live. Like, I like it here. I won't say it feels quite like home, but it's a place I'm very comfortable in.
At the end of the day, home is home. I know most people will just be like, this guy is just talking nonsense. But I know most Nigerians, I don't know how which people are going to see this video, but I know most people will say this guy talking nonsense. But my guy, home is home. There is because there are things that you probably want to do, but you don't have the comfortability to do it because you're not home. Like, I'm not saying if somebody pisses you off now, you are thinking about like, what's going to, like, you're not comfortable enough to do anything. Like, you're just like, you can't do any. Home is home, but when you're home, you're free, you're chilled. Everything is your country. You know that you're home. You can invest. You can do this. Like, I would go back to Nigeria mostly to invest and do a lot of things, because I think, like, even before we started this thing, I told you that UK is just, there's so much. You buy this, you pay that, you pay that. Like, but I think everything is more or less like taken, and we have to go back home to sort of like invest in our own country and build it from the scratch. Because as much as there's like so many problems, there's still a lot of solutions that we can bring as people who, as just educated people in general. It doesn't matter whether you've traveled, you've not traveled, you're in Nigeria, you're not in Nigeria. Anywhere you are in the world, as far as you're a Nigerian, like, is like Nigeria is our own to build. Do you understand what I mean? So at one point, I would definitely love to go back to Nigeria.
There's another one called the Palace. You created that one, you go to different restaurants every day. Check it out. Exactly. Keep out of the battle. This is my own money.
Okay, I have a question for Abiba.
Hi.
Would you go back to Nigeria to live?
I actually would, but but I wouldn't go at the current climate. Because I've always been someone that, I went when I was 8, I came back when I was 13, so what's that, 5 years? The average person when she was 21, she would have forgotten what Nigeria was like. I actually still vividly remember what it's like. And, I've always been the person that, after I finished my education here, I wanted to go and serve. Even though I knew the conditions of serving was disastrous, I always still wanted to go and serve. So, I still would go, but probably not in the current climate, and probably not under, the current, state of leadership right now. Because if there's one thing that's always stood out to me, it's the divide between the rich and the poor in Nigeria. Especially once you step out of that airport and you're traveling, whether you're going to the island or whether you're going to Ibadan or any other city, the divide between the rich and the poor is so heartbreaking and so sad. And I don't think I could go from a country, obviously there's homelessness here, but the welfare state is and obviously the welfare state isn't the best here, but it's still something. And I couldn't go back to a country whereby, I'm comfortably going out in my car with an AC on. Meanwhile, there's somebody that's, right beside the door of my car that hasn't eaten in, 6 days. So, I would go back to Nigeria, but ideally a different Nigeria.
Bless it. Would you go back to Nigeria?
My family are there. I don't have a choice. I don't have a choice. I have to. At all points.
If you had a choice.
Oh, if I had a choice. Oh my God, that's a very serious question, man. Because the thing for me is what can, I don't know. I don't want to use the word what can Nigeria offer, because Nigeria can offer a lot. Nigeria is a massive country with so much potentials, and there's so much to get as a Nigerian. But I think I don't know. I don't have the answer now. Maybe if you ask me in 2 years' time, you never know. I might be in Nigeria in 2 years' time. But for now, I don't think I have that answer. I have so many things I want to do in Nigeria, especially in terms of the educational sector. I feel there's a lot I can offer, and that's something I really want to explore in terms of not just, I want to be able to help not young Nigerians, but children and stuff like that with their education, and maybe secondary education, support them. So that I want to do a lot of educational stuff in Nigeria, because I don't think education is as it should be, the standard it should be.
Yeah, it's just not full on.
Yeah, so I want to do stuff like that. So you might catch me in Nigeria anytime, to be honest. So yeah, that's it. I have a lot to offer in terms of that way. So I want to give back to my country, but I don't know what the let's not go there. Let's finish. Yeah, I want to give back to my country, in terms of helping people with education and stuff. So hopefully I can in the future, if they will not ask me to drop something before. Go on, I'm just joking, man. Yeah.
Okay, does anyone have anything else they'd like to add?
Can I flip the question back on you?
Yes.
Look at you say yes.
Yes.
Would you go back to Nigeria if you had the choice?
Okay. Bless it, you feel me?
I can film you and so that I can zoom into your face and know what you say.
Would I go out to Nigeria if I had the choice?
Yeah.
If I had the choice. Actually, I don't have a choice right now because I only have one passport and it's Nigerian.
No, that's not the question.
No, honestly, in an ideal world, yes, and you had the choice of, I can live comfortably in the UK forever and ever, have my family, see my great grandkids in the UK, or go back to Nigeria seasonally, or just go back full time.
If I had a plan or strategy in mind that I was going to act out in Nigeria, then yes, definitely.
You are just skipping the question.
Yeah,
No, I'm not.
He said you did do something different to us. He said, would you go back to that choice? If you had a choice, would you go back to Nigeria?
Yes or no?
Permanently.
Not if you had a plan.
Not if you had a plan.
So if I had no plan,
just go back.
Depending on whether you
Go
have
back
a plan
to your
or not.
country.
Would you go back or not?
this guy wants me to go back. Carl, you're asking. Yeah. But the reason why I answered this way is because, let me be honest, I don't see myself going back without a plan.
Okay.
Okay.
I would rather not. if I don't have
So
a plan.
just one plan or multiple plans? Because what happens if, the plan A doesn't work, and all you had was plan A? What happens then?
I'll go with plan A. Plan A has to be strong enough.
So you're just gonna have one plan?
Yeah. And it will probably be something linked to what Blessed said about
Education and stuff.
trying to give back, because I don't see how I don't think it's possible for me to go back to Nigeria and just be anybody else. It's not possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
At least you're proud to go back to Nigeria. That's good.
Like you, right?
I'm a proud citizen.
Fair
Alright.
enough.
Alright, that's cool. So thank you guys. Thank you, Blessed.
Okay, thank you.
Be back as well.
Thank you for facilitating our discussion.
Thank you.
Welcome. This is what we're moving towards new Nigeria, so
Let's hope
it's
so.
it's really important to have these discussions and keep each other inspired and sensitized. So
A new Nigeria